agree with that. What do you mean when you say that you think that we should be looking at taxes on assets? Are you talking about taxes on savings? Are you talking about taxes on housing? What are you talking about?
Well, Sophie, as I said before, this is in the context of that debate where government seems to have intimated that it would be seeking to be potentially raising taxes on all of the population. Now, I don't think that's right. I think it should be targeted. Now, I'm not going to say to you to spell out exactly how that should work. I think that's down to government right now. If Labour was in government...
You're a new Shadow Chancellor. It feels to me like this is an important debate to have. And frankly, I don't really know what you're talking... Like, you talk about taxing assets, but what do you mean? Would a Labour government consider taxing people's savings or people's houses?
Well, as I said, that debate would only arise at the stage if we needed additional contributions into the system. I'm hoping that we won't see the continued reduction in the size of our economy. Actually, it's best if we can grow our way out of this crisis. But if there needs to be an increased contribution, then it should be coming from those with the broadest shoulders. And when we look at what's happened to the tax system, this applies across a whole variety of elements of taxation of the very best of people. That has gone down. I think you find very few economists who would disagree with that. And yet, support for the lowest income people and the middle income people has been reduced at the same time. That's not a fair settlement. And government should be taking a different approach rather than briefing out suggesting that, for example, income tax could be increased for everyone in the population. They should be looking at those with the broadest shoulders making more of a contribution. I think that's really important.
I think I'm struggling to find out really what you meant by the assets. But, you know, it's the first time that I've interviewed, so I'm quite keen to kind of get a bit of a sense about your sort of vision, I guess, the kind of chancellor that you would like to be if you were in that job. Now, I interviewed your predecessor, John McDonnell, last year. He said that he'd like to see a socialist society. I want to see a transformed economy, so not capitalism as it now operates. So do you also want to redefine capitalism? Are you a socialist?
Well, what I want to see is a much fairer society. I want to see a society where we don't have, for example, hospital porters living... You know, in my city, in Oxford, we've got hospital porters who are living in single rooms in houses in multiple occupation, who, if they have their bike stolen, for example, you know, I've had one of them in tears in front of me when I knocked on his door. That to me, you know, we need to see a change away from that kind of a society. We've seen how the lack of financial resilience of so many people in the UK has been enormously problematic during this crisis. You know, we entered it with a quarter of UK families not even having £100 in savings. We need a change to that. Now, some people would call that socialism, some people would call it fairness. What's most important to me is that we actually get that change, that we don't ever enter a crisis again with so many families in our country struggling.
Now, moving on, one of the